adventurers. My name is Patrick, and today I'm going to be talking about this Scian that I just purchased recently. Now, what exactly is a Scian? A Scian is just Irish for knife. Now, some of you might be looking at this, like me, and going, this is a fucking knife? Because that's certainly what I was thinking when I first opened it. Now, brief history as to what exactly this is. This was a combat knife, a dagger essentially, used by the Kern, which were Irish mercenaries who fought Vikings. If you want a more historical breakdown of the Scian, I will link the Rambling Kerns video in the description down below, as he goes into a very detailed history of this product in general, as well as, you know, how good it is at cutting and all that. He does a much better job of explaining that stuff than I ever could, so I'm just going to link his video down below. After all, he is where I heard about this from. What I am going to be talking about is more my personal, just experiences with it, as well as how much I like it, my taste with it, all that. So first, I'm just going to go over the looks of it, and as you can see, it's fucking gorgeous. I think so, personally. I've always had more of an aesthetic eye for simpler designs, and this is a very simple design. I like it a lot. As well as more slender blades, which this definitely is, as you can see. Now, right away, I want to talk about the length of the blade. It is 16 inches long. Now, again, when I first ordered this, I thought it was going to be closer to like a rondel dagger, because again, I saw the Rambling Kerns video on it. Now, something to take into account about him that I did not is he is 6'5". He is a fucking behemoth of a man. I am nowhere near such a godly stature. I am only 5'9". And as a result, it really did look like a dagger to him. And I was like, again, I wasn't thinking about his height, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was going to be like, sort of like this lengthish, you know what I mean? And then I got it, and I was like, oh no, it's like a fucking short sword to me. It's like when fucking Bilbo picks up Sting. It's a fucking elven dagger, but in his hands, it's a fucking short sword. It's very much the same thing. Now, this also affected how I train with it, because again, I thought it was going to be a rondel dagger, so I was preparing to use it more for like, downward thrusts or like quick stabs like this, like you would do with a rondel dagger. And you can kind of do that with this, but not nearly as well, because it's so long that it's kind of hard to do sort of consecutive thrusts with it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like at a close range. You can do it, but I would say it's suboptimal for that. What I would say, techniques that more closely resemble what you could do with this are more in line with a messer, all right? Because, you got this guard, right? You can parry from here. You can come down on high, right? Reach, grab, slice, right? You can do all those techniques similar to how you could with a messer, right? Which makes sense because it's similarly designed. It's a long knife with a very thick spine and one, sided sharpness. So it's, it's similar. It's not exactly the same, and I'll talk about that in a second. So you'll be able to get away with those techniques, right, using this, is what I found to be better than trying to use rondel dagger techniques personally. Now, one thing you'll notice that it differs from a messer is that this does not have much of a fucking handguard at all. In fact, what little handguard that is there, I would say, is not really there to guard your hand, but is more there to sort of keep your hand from sliding up as you stab inwards, right? Because, if a sword were to come down on this, it's gonna catch fucking hand no matter what. Whereas a messer has a cross guard with a little tooth sticking out this side, so it's got kind of a three-way guard, right, where it can block your hand. You will receive no fucking hand protection here. So that is just something to keep in mind when practicing with it, is that you can't do any of the techniques with messers that require sliding down and catching the sword on the guard. That would not work at all. As a result, another style that I thought would work really well with this is Eskrima, because in Eskrima, right, the goal is to like quick in and out movements while quick cuts, right? You never really catch or deflect anything on the blade. I mean, there might be like a few examples of that, but they would have to be like quick over the top parries, right? And not, again, handguards, because they were made to fight with kukuris and machetes, which, again, similar to this, don't have a handguard. So they're better, you know, quick in and out rather than like straight up like slide, right? Or like a quick deflect. Again, these are just some of the personal things I found when training with this. Personally, I love it a lot because I'm a bigger fan of short swords over, you know, long swords, or even like, I don't know what you would want to call this sword that's on my hip, like a arming sword type length, right? Because even a sword that's not very long like this still knocks a little bit, still like can catch shit, still you know, bounces off my leg. I still feel it there a little bit. This shit I don't feel at all when it's like resting at my hip. It's real easy, real quick to draw. I really like the sheath on it too. I will have a link in the description as where you can buy one. Not just the sheath, but the whole blade, because I do think that they are worth it. And honestly, it just feels better to me in my hand than, again, like a whole ass sword. I really like how fluid and quick it is. I love how light and nimble, and I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. Really, I've found myself training with this blade more than any other, pretty much ever since I got it. So I'm really happy with it. I really, really am. So I would definitely, if you're into any sort of knife fighting, if you are into any sort of sword fighting, if you are into even just having something to wear on your medieval attire, you know, if you fall into any of these categories, right, I would definitely recommend picking one of these up, training with it, you know, or even just having it to wear at your side, because I think it looks pretty slick. I think it looks pretty cool, and I love using it and just wearing it. But alright guys, that has just been my thoughts on the Scian. Please let me know what you think about it down in the comments. I'm Patrick, and I'll see you next time.